Okay, so to recap, for those of you just jumping in on episode 8 for whatever reason, we are in an optional dungeon. We are looking for the Iron Fang, and I am stubbornly refusing to use a map. Dora the Explorer would be greatly ashamed. There was a whole damn song about the importance of using maps, and now here we are. So once we do get that Iron Fang, though, that's gonna be a big thing. Meow's gonna have a nice powerful clamping bite, like the guy in the Thompson's Teeth commercial. You know, speaking of having a strong clamping bite, when I was in college, we went on a field trip to an animal research facility, and there was a Chinese woman who stuck her finger in one of the cow's mouths, and she wanted the cow to nibble on it. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be funny if the cow just chomped down, just with the full strength of its incredibly strong cow jaws, and the lady just pulled back a bloody stump. And I mean, of course it wouldn't be funny at the time, but I mean, one of those things that in hindsight it would be funny, And somehow I can tell that story didn't land with you, the audience. You're sitting there stone-faced with your arms crossed thinking there is nothing funny about a Chinese woman getting her hand bitten off by a cow on a school field trip. Why would he even say such a vile, evil, foul thing? Anyway, so the Iron Fang is right behind this boss. We just gotta push him out of the way. This is it. This is the big thing. This is it, Luigi. Pray to whatever god you believe in, and if he doesn't answer, well then he's no god of yours. In the walkthrough there was just one skeleton instead of 5. I must have a different revision of the game, perhaps. That was how they patched games back in the day, you see. They would just change the code slightly and release a new batch of cartridges that had it on there. You had to check for the rev number on the box. That was how we did things back in the day. Well, who's we? This game came out before I was even fucking born. So, I think we can definitely get through this fight. Hey, I got an idea. I should put a funny image on his shield. Yeah, perfect. Giving me a flashback to middle school when I used to put the epic face on everything that I could. Back when that was a relevant meme, you see. In fact, when I was in the 8th grade, they had this yearly tradition they would do. It was the 8th grade art where all the students would draw a picture and they'd make a collage that they would hang up in the school somewhere. And anyway, my submission for the collage was the epic face, and the art lady didn't like that. I think one of the rednecks drew a picture of Pabst Blue Ribbon beer or something, and the art lady didn't like that either. But anyway, yeah, we got him. Don't celebrate yet, though. Eagle-eyed Phantasy Star aficionados are gonna notice that I made a colossal mistake during that fight. And that is really and truly gonna screw us over. Here, let's pretend like this is a kid show like Blue's Clues, and I'm gonna ask you, the viewer, to figure out the issue here. What do you think is stopping us here, viewer? That's right, the mage doesn't have enough magic left to teleport us back out of here. Which means our only way of getting back out is to try and manually crawl through 4 floors of dungeon when everybody's already at 1/3 health from the fight, and also there are pits hidden in the dungeon where if you fall through them they're going to take you 1 floor lower, which is useful going in, but not useful at all coming out. And also I don't know where the pits are because I refuse to look at a map. By chance, did they ever teach you what a panacea was in school? That would be a very useful thing to know right now, and thankfully I've got a panacea of my own, and that is the magic of video editing. See how easy it was to fix that? It was like that Family Guy episode where they were all gonna drown, but then they just ran out of time in the episode, so in the middle of the drowning scene, suddenly there's just a hard cut to them sitting in the living room and everything's fine, and then episode's over. That's how little effort they're putting into things these days. But I'm not gonna rant about Family Guy not being good. I'm not that one guy from the Dead Wing Dork video. You know, pretty much everyone in my circle of friends saw that. Oh yeah, another hurdle here. We don't have a flash. There is an item you get later. It's like a lantern where it's basically a permanent flash where you pay a higher amount of money and then you don't have to keep buying flashes constantly.
You forgot to get
something to look into. But of course I don't know where they sell those. So, while I try to get this flash situation sorted, here's an entertaining scenario that I thought up in my head the other day. I wrote a scene from Sesame Street, essentially. Probably thinking, oh, that sounds... Anyway, so here's how it goes. So, it takes place at Ernie's house, and Ernie and Elmo are both sitting at a table eating. Elmo has pasta and Ernie has cereal, and Ernie says, "Gee, it sure was nice of you to come over and visit, Elmo." And Elmo says, "Yeah, whatever." And then Elmo, he gets up from the table, and he goes over to the counter and starts moving stuff around, and he's facing away from Ernie, and you think Elmo just needs something off the counter, but then Elmo, he just crop dusts directly into Ernie's cereal, and Ernie says,
You know, Elmo, it was nice of you to visit and everything, but this is the third time today you've done this, and I'm starting to think you're doing this on purpose."
And yeah, scene. I guess the comedic crux of that scene was Ernie giving Elmo the benefit of the doubt and assuming that he didn't mean it the first two times, and then he has a slow realization that Elmo's just being a jerk today and he's deliberately farting into his cereal. So anyway, we've entered a new town, by the way. The theme of this place definitely seems to be economic hardship. A lot of the buildings look rather they're broken down, and then also the game kind of plays into that too. The NPCs won't speak to you directly unless you give them something first. They're like street beggars, essentially. Got any change? Okay, so here's the part where we buy the lantern, which acts as a permanent flash, essentially. That is going to be a very useful asset for us moving forward. This guy's blocking the exit out of town. He's a very territorial bum, I'll give him that. It's like that scene from Courage the Cowardly Dog with the end of Doc Gerbil's world. And now wait, no, I gotta explain it further. Doc Gerbil's world where the main cast, they get shrunk down to a tiny size and sucked up into a vacuum. And while they're in there, there's like a little old lady who's also been shrunk down and sucked into a vacuum. And the little old lady is quite territorial. She says to him, "Now this here's my half of the lint, and over there's your half of the lint." That's all that's in my mind is just quotes from cartoons from 20 years ago. Okay, so one of those NPCs gave us our next objective. We have to break a man out of jail. Dear me, this game's really taken a turn. I'm just thinking about this from the perspective of the guy who's being set free. I mean, just imagine that you learned of a holy cow, that's a new enemy. Anyway, just imagine you learned of a plot that you were gonna be set free, and then the people coming to rescue you, they look like 3 Final Fantasy cosplayers and a cat. I think you'd be quite let down. So this enemy's a bit of a glass cannon, high attack power, but also very low defense. So you just gotta get in there fast. You just gotta charge through all the rooms like that guy in the Edgar Allan Poe novel. Okay, that kind of seemed like a needless roadblock to progress, but I'm not a game designer, what do I know? I mean, why would a guy stop to ask you if you have an item that's mandatory at this stage of the game? I guess it builds the lore, you know. Anything in here? Speaking of roadblocks, let's open up another door. Oh, look at that. It was a trap. Well, anyway, we'll pick this up later.